Good afternoon, all guests present here today. In today's time, when all of us are getting adjusted to the new normal life, by connecting with each other virtually, the Prabha Khaitan Foundation, in its endeavor to keep our morale high, is continually organizing sessions with eminent personalities. Today, it's my pleasure to welcome one such versatile talent, Ms. Shabana Azmi. However, I'm going to briefly take you through her journey. Her entry into films marked the way for the parallel cinema movement with Shyam Benegal's Ankur in 1974. She has won 5 national awards for Best Actress, 3 of them in a row, which is an unprecedented feat. She has also won 5 international awards for Best Actress. She is respected as a social activist and tireless campaigner for the rights of women, slum dwellers, and the underprivileged. She heads the Mijwan Welfare Society, an NGO that works for the empowerment of the girl child in rural India. Shabana Azmi was nominated to the Rajya Sabha by the President of India in 1997. She is recipient of the Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan. She was awarded the Gandhi International Peace Prize at the House of Lords in 2006. The bicentennial celebration of International Human Rights in Paris in 2006. Sorry, I got that wrong. At the bicentennial celebrations of International Human Rights in Paris in 1989, she was honored along with Mother Teresa by President Mitterrand of France. She has recently been nominated as Global Leadership Ambassador for Women in Public Service, a project initiated by Hillary Clinton. Let's hear it from her. With her to do the conversation, we have our very own Ehsaas woman of London and a close associate of Shabanaji's, Ms. Sangeeta Lada. And this will be followed up by a small Q&A session. Please keep your questions ready and we will put it up to her to answer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the session.
Thank you for that, Praneeth. Welcome, Shabana. It's a very, very special event today, and our members have been waiting for a very long time for this event. I'd like to welcome the Ehsaas Women Prabha Khaitan Foundation members. I'd like to especially welcome our BETAC members who are also here. This event is in collaboration with BETAC. BETAC is the arts organization that I run in London, and we've started a series called My Life, My Art, a conversation series. I'm also very, very pleased that with Shabana, we actually mark a series of events which take us into the South Asian History Month. And it's going to be a very significant month now from mid-July to August, where we are celebrating the connection between cultures and histories between India and all of South Asia and Britain. So welcome again, Shabana.
Thank you.
I see you sitting in a very, very gorgeous room with lots of heavy wood around you. So life has actually brought us to a point where the here and now today has become important. Tell us where you are now and what exactly is the now about.
I am in Khandala in our home Sukoon, which was made with great love about 8 years ago by Javed. And it is a gorgeous house, but we've never had an opportunity to spend any time here at all. And now after the lockdown, we've come here and 2 things have happened. One, this is the first time I have spent this amount of time with Javed in 36 years of our marriage. And like Javed said, it's a very strange situation because what the lockdown has done is made us from a nuclear family into a joint family, because we have Farhan visiting us. I have my brother Baba and his wife Tanvi and their children close by. I have my friend Parna walking distance from here. So we've formed a sort of community. And all the suffocation that we were feeling in the city, in Mumbai, seems to have just vanished into thin air.
Yeah, you're looking so much more relaxed and beautiful and happy, and enjoy your days in Sukoon. It's very beautiful.
So the monsoons are on and the weather's absolutely gorgeous. We are surrounded by trees, and it's all just very relaxed and very beautiful, almost surreal, almost surreal that right in the middle of these very taxing times, we've sort of made a little island for ourselves in which only the here and the now matters. But of course, one is cognizant of the fact that this is really a bubble, and what we are dealing with in the pandemic is a catastrophe of a kind that we, especially people who were born after partition, have never seen and hopefully will never see again. So there's a lot of upheaval, there is a lot of disturbance. The wide disparity between the haves and the have-nots in a country like India and South Asia has become, if anything, even more evident. And so what that's doing is leading us to a kind of introspection where, particularly for me, I am re-evaluating my life and re-evaluating what I saw as a need. There is a difference between a want and a need, and I'm recognizing that now. I also feel that we have too much and we hanker for too much, whereas life actually can be lived very simply. And I have really been wrestling with the idea of less is more in my own personal life, in terms of acquisition, in terms of owning material goods. And I think it's a good time in my life to see that I can do with much less and I need to give much more. What I feel about giving much more, I think all of us, of course, have come forward and we are doing our bit. But I feel that unless you give until it hurts, it's not actually giving.
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. Yeah. It's also been a time when I think all of us have been engaged in trying to help people in crisis, and particularly in Bengal, there's been further crisis with the cyclone and Amphan. And it's been 4 months really of doing initiatives one after the other to help people. But do you feel that we're going to move towards a more empathetic society?
I think that if we really dwell on the lessons that this pandemic has taught us, and don't forget it the minute things seem to get back to what we consider normalcy, there's much to be learned. There is this, that in isolation creativity can really flourish. And so I think instead of constantly wanting this to end, constantly saying, oh God, when is it going to end? When am I going to go back to my regular life, etc. If we would say to ourselves, we don't know when that's going to happen. So live the here and the now and stop worrying about what is going to happen and when it is going to happen. Really, truly, in an almost spiritual way, it makes you aware of the here and the now and living in the moment. We spend all our life either dwelling in the past or imagining a future. We forget the joy of actually experiencing the now. And that I am doing in a way that I've never had to face before.
Yeah, I keep thinking of, the times that you would say, Javed Saab, and you would meet only at the airports and you are taking flights to different destinations. And then Javed Saab writes this poem where it's like catching a glimpse of a passenger in a train. That's how it was with y'all. And so finding this sort of time together is amazing. What else are you doing?
What is also very nice is apart from spending time together, we've also realized that we enjoy each other's company. It's a good thing after 37 years of marriage, right? If you suddenly discover that about each other, it feels good, certainly.
No, honestly, enjoy this time. We are missing you here in London because July is always the time when y'all are here. Javed Saab comes for his tennis and, you know, a lot of chatter and catching up. So I'm missing y'all intensely and hope that we'll see you soon. But for you, you know, just this from the beginning of this year, it's been one thing or the other which has kept you either, you know, after the road accident, then you went away to Warsaw for your shoot. How were things there? And what exactly brought you back? When did you come back?
I came
March.
back on the 15th of March. In fact, on the 14th of March, we were in Budapest shooting the TV series Halo. And on the 14th of March, we were told that we all have to pack up and on the 15th. And so we left overnight. What happened then is when I came back to Bombay, I went into self-isolation for 15 days, by which time the lockdown was announced. And so it was a period where, as it is, I had been away. And then I came back and then the lockdown. And then it was a very strange experience because one wasn't meeting anybody. No family, no friends, nothing. It seemed as if the world had suddenly turned upside down. Also, what happened is some work of mine is pending. I'm doing a film with Vikas Khanna, and there's a little shooting lab of that. I was supposed to start my series Mughal by Nick Mani. That's on hold. So in terms of when and what, there is uncertainty, but I'm just going with the flow.
You also mentioned in an interview a couple of weeks ago, or was it last week, that for television, they're not allowing 65 plus actors to come on the sets.
You see, this is a very strange thing. It is supposedly a directive by the Home Ministry saying that for the safety of senior actors, we will not and we cannot allow 65 plus actors to report on the sets. Now, this seems very strange and terribly discriminatory. Sorry, because why does it apply only to actors? Why doesn't it apply to politicians?
Exactly.
I mean, can they guarantee that any political rallies from henceforward, nobody over 65 will attend those rallies if there will be lots of people there? So as long as the person who's 65 can pass all the health tests and is willing to take that responsibility, then it becomes the responsibility of the producer also to guarantee that special provisions are made for senior actors. You know, the thing is that the actors who are stars and all have it easy because they have time on their hand, they've got money in their pockets, they can afford to delay things. But what about other actors, other senior actors who have only acting to fall back upon? They don't have any side business or anything by which they can earn a livelihood. So you're hitting them in the stomach where it hurts the most, and you're taking away their means of livelihood. I mean, Kavaljeet Singh is such a fine actor and such a fit, able person, has been replaced in a TV series by a 40-year-old boy who has had to put gray in his hair and pretend to be 65 years old. Now, that is really unfair. So we have appealed to the government, and Hema Malini ji, who is also a member of CINTA, which is the Cine Artists Association, has written a letter saying that this must be revised. So we are waiting to hear from the Home Ministry. I mean, obviously it is there, it's being done to safeguard our health. But I don't think that the thought has been thought through completely. And in fact, we were told that in Kolkata and in Bengaluru, shootings have started, then there is no such stricture there. Why is Mumbai being singled out forward?
Right, right. But it's also, as you said, lockdown has been a time for creativity. And you did a storytelling project quite early in the lockdown period. Would you like to tell us about that?
It's a story by Tabish Khair. And it came to me through Tabish Khair. And he said, would you please read this story for me? And it was part of an exercise where different artists were reciting different stories. And for me, it was a very interesting experience because, see, I'm used to being on the set and not concerned with anything except my own act, right? People are fixing the lights, people are fixing the mics, everything has happened, and I just come in front of the camera and then I know. Here, I had to set up the camera, I had to set up the light, I had to show that there was nobody around. It was very, very taxing because it's something that I'm not used to at all. What it made me also do is realize, my God, these technicians whom we take for granted, how much real work goes on over there, and how pushy it is for the actor, because the actor gets away all the accolades because she's in front of the camera. But it is really support from this wonderful crew that sort of enhances your strengths and hides all your infirmities, that you manage to be who you are.
Very true. Have you also been writing your own story? I'm very interested in that.
No, I have been in talks. In fact, I've even signed the contract with Penguin, but I haven't started work on it. But hopefully I will do so soon.
Oh, good, good. So tell us about your rather unusual childhood, because you grew up in a commune situation. You had other families living in the same building with you. What were your, what did you have role models at that point? Like, y'all were our role models when we were growing up, and we saw Ankur and all the other films which came after them magnificently. They shaped our perception about life, our values. When you were growing up, who were your role models?
Well, there were people who were moving in and out of the house because it was a very artistic family. Both my parents, Kafi Azmi and Shaukat Kafi, believed that art should be used as an instrument for social change, and that's what they practiced. They didn't sit down and give us lectures, my brother Baba and me, but we saw all around us because we were living with my father used to be given only 40 rupees a month. For all the work that he was doing for the Communist Party, and the rest of the money was given to the party. So obviously when we were born, then my mother, who had never worked in her life, she had to go out, and she first became a radio announcer with Vivid Bharati. And then after that, she started working in IPTA and with Prithvi theatres.
Right.
We were living in a place called Red Flag Hall, which was a commune of the Communist Party. And 8 families were living there, and they had just rooms of about 180 square feet to 200 square feet. That's it, okay, in which my brother Baba, I, Mummy, Abba all lived. There was a strip of a balcony in which my mother had converted that into a kitchen. There was one toilet and one bathroom for 8 families. And yet there was no acrimony. I don't remember anybody fighting that this is my turn and this is your turn. It was really like an extended family, because I mean, look at the people who were there. There was Kafi Azmi, there was Sardar Jafri, there was Manish Narayan Saxena, there was Savantji. I mean, these were real intellectuals who were there, all having come together because they had a similar worldview, which was of social justice and gender empowerment and all of that. So it was in the atmosphere around us. The lessons that I learned, obviously, because you came from a commune of the Communist Party, there was complete absence of religion. There was no religion at all. But What there was is a celebration of India's diverse culture. So we've always celebrated Holi, Diwali, Eid, Govinda, Ganpati, uh, Christmas, all of these festivals. We have always celebrated them and continue to do so because my father started that tradition when we moved to Janki Kutir, and after that, Baba and I continue to do it. So there is a deep respect for the composite culture that is India. And that was given to us almost by a process of osmosis, a celebration of India's diversity.
Yeah. And you had your first theater experience on your mother's lap or tied on your mother's back. That was very early.
Yeah, my mother used to strap me on her back and take me for rehearsals of Prithvi Theatre because we couldn't afford a maid. And so she couldn't leave me behind because my father was working. And so when she was rehearsing, etc., I used to be in the green room and much fuss was made over me. Also, I had two different experiences. You know, one when Mummy was working and I had to be in Bombay because of my school. Then my father would carry me on his shoulders and take me to all these Mazdoor Kisan rallies and meetings. And then I would be taken from one shoulder to the other. And I would see all these red flags being waved. And I thought red flag is party time. I had no idea that this was the communist flag. But it was something that I enjoyed very much. So on the one hand, my mother would take me to theatre. On the other hand, Kafi Saab, my father, would take Baba and me to these mushairas, where we would go to sleep on the stage. There were big bolsters over there, and we would sleep behind the bolsters. We'd fall asleep because inevitably, Kafi Saab was one of the last poets who was asked to recite. And then we would wake up to this thunderous applause, knowing that, okay, so it's Abba's turn. You know, so imagine we had in our house when we shifted to Janki, I was only 9. And we had people like Begum Akhtar, Firaq Gorakhpuri, Faiz Ahmed, Faiz Josh Maliha Abadi, all these people as house guests, staying with us, in spite of the fact that it was not a very comfortable cottage. I would shift into my brother's room and they would stay in my room, and my room didn't have an attached bathroom. This when there were many, many industrialists and people who would be very happy to have these artists in their homes. Yeah. But they were coming to our home. So in retrospect, I don't think we were conscious of it then, but in retrospect, I think what Baba and I learned was that money wasn't everything, and that there was something that this house had inherently, that these people would prefer to stay with us rather than all the comforts that were given to them. So my interest in acting started because of Mummy, because Prithviraj Kapoor had made some costumes for me. So in group scenes, I would be taken onto the stage. And so I had the hustle and the bustle was something that I was familiar with. On the other hand, there were these great poetry sessions that used to happen in the house. And I didn't understand Urdu very well at that time. But I remember that I used to hide from behind the curtain and look at it, and I used to think it's a really magical world, this laughter, this tinkling of glasses, the smoke-filled room. And my father would just call me and say, "Aiye, aap yahan aake baithe." And then he would make me sit next to him, and then he would say, "You are free to stay as long as you want, provided tomorrow morning you get up on your own and you go to school. I don't want you to say that I've had a late night, so I couldn't go to school." So this was something that was always encouraged, that the children were always included in the decision-making process, which was very rare at that time. So yeah, we didn't feel like children. We felt like we were equal members of the family. Now, whether they were doing it consciously or it came to them naturally, I have no idea. But in terms of having childhood, to me, it's so perfect that it's almost unreal. The fact that we didn't have money seemed to be of no consequence to me at all.
Yeah. I think, as you tell these stories, it's just so attached to the history of the nation. And there are architectural sites. So there's Prithvi Theatre where your mother worked. There's Janki Kuti just opposite it, and where now you still have the holy functions. You have music, and you've kept on that tradition. You also have the FTI where you went to study in Pune. So it's like planting these architectural spaces in your history.
That's a very nice observation. Yes.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So when, now it's been more than 4 decades of film and theater. Have there been films which were life-changing? Maybe your idea about gender equality, or also the way you threw yourself into the Nivara Haq movement, the housing rights movement in Bombay. Did they come from film roles that you played?
Yes, I have repeated this several times, but I can really sort of focus on 2 films. One is Mahesh Bhatt's Arth, and the other is Gautam Ghosh's Fire, that had a deep impact in my life and changed the trajectory of my life. When I was working in Arth, we completely believed in the film. What was very interesting is when the film was shown in one of the trials, the distributors all came up and said, it's a very good film, but you have to change the end. And so we said, why? And they said, well, Indian wife saying no to her husband after he has asked for forgiveness is unheard of. The film will not run a day. But Mahesh Bhatt and I just sort of dug our heels in, and we said, this is the reason why we are making the film, and we are not going to change this ending. What it actually shows, Sangeeta, is how producers are out of touch with what audiences want. Audiences have moved on, but producers keep thinking that they are frozen in time. Because at the same time, I was doing a film called Ye Nazdikiyan, which is again about a husband who's been disloyal to his wife and gone off with Parveen Babi, who was the model in that film. And we were all confident that Ye Nazdikiyan would be the successful film. That Arth would definitely get critical acclaim, but we didn't know what the box office would be like. The exact opposite happened. Arth became a huge success, apart from also becoming creative and critical. It got a lot of critical acclaim. And Ye Nazdikiyan tanked. So it came as a complete, that's something that was preserving the status quo, because the wife takes the husband back.
Yeah.
That, and here, alone, the people liked it. Now, what happened with Arth is that I had an experience that I'd never seen before, where I had hordes of women come into my house as not as fans to start, but in sisterhood, expecting me to resolve all their marital problems. And it terrified me, because I was just an actor. I was a young girl and I'd done a part, and I didn't know that I would have to face these consequences. But what it made me realize is that the artist does have a responsibility. You have a voice. And that's how I then got involved with the women's movement, because of Arth. And then Arth, of course, became an iconic film and is still celebrated and is still talked about as a turning point in Indian cinema when it comes to women's representation, etc. Now, around the same time, this was in the early 80s, I was working in a film called Par, which was directed by Gautam Ghosh, which in fact today becomes all the more relevant, because it's about these two people who leave the village and come to the city of Kolkata in search of work, and then finally don't find anything and have to go back. Now, what I try and do is when I am creating a part, what I try to do is find somebody as close to the person I'm playing and study that person very carefully, sometimes just for the the outward things like the gesture, the walk, the voice, the way you sit, laugh, etc. I'm like a sponge observing that. So I found this girl who was the sweeper woman of the guest house in which we were living. And I was watching her, I was watching the way she would walk, sit, etc. And in the process, we became friends. Now, a couple of days into the shooting, she said, Didi, will you come to my house? And I said, of course I'll come to your house. And I went, and I saw poverty of a kind I had never seen before. It was a small little hut in which 8 people were living. There was no air, there was no water, there was no electricity, and 8 people were living literally on top of each other. And then she offered me tea. And I just looked at her and I said, my God, this woman is living in such adversity, and yet she has the generosity to be my friend. And I was so compelled by that I felt deeply disturbed. And I felt that if I went away back to my air-conditioned comfort without doing anything for the likes of Rama, this girl, it would be a travesty of the trust that she had placed in me while we had become friends. Because I couldn't say that I'm going to use you to maybe win a national award in the bargain and not do anything to improve your life. And I came away very, very seized by that, not knowing what I'm supposed to do. Around the same time, Anand Patwardhan showed me his documentary, Hamara Shehar, Bombay, our city, in which it became evident that demolishing slums is not the answer. Because people don't go back to the village from where they come. They only move maybe 5 kilometers away. So what they in fact do is create worse slums out of already existing slums. It's quite possible a slum had water and electricity, but they move out of there and then go 5 kilometers away where there's no water and no electricity. So you've actually created a worse slum. Okay, so the answer there is to recognize that a city like Mumbai, in which 70% of the population live in the slums or are homeless or live on the streets, now to dismiss them as parasites who are ruining the city is a very superficial way of looking at it. Because are we talking only about cosmetic change, or are we talking about quality of life with basics guaranteed to all its citizens? These are working classes of the city. The boy who brings my newspaper in the morning, the boy who brings my milk in the morning, the driver who takes me to work, the maid who leaves her own child behind and comes back to wash my dishes, the bank clerk, the bus driver, the factory worker. These are the people who are living in the slums. And the city can't have a one-way relationship with you. Can't say that I will use you for cheap employment, but then you must just disappear into thin air. You have to realize that you have a vibrant relationship. The slum dweller is not a slum dweller because she loves to live in a slum. It's because there is no policy by which the government has a bank of land in which it is able to give housing to the economically weaker sections at subsidized rates. Nobody is going to be able to afford market rates for buying a house. Now, the slum dweller hasn't come for free. The slum dweller has come from the village, having sold his white jewelry, having sold his piece of land, everything. And he comes, let's say, with 1 lakh of rupees. Okay, this is his entire punji. Now he comes and he looks for legal places. He doesn't find any of them. So then he has no choice but to squat on whatever land is given to him by, let's say, a slumlord. So the slumlord takes away all his money, okay, and then gives him some protection, maybe greasing the palms of the municipal people who are there. And then after about 1 or 2 years, he disappears from there. So now that protection is gone. Now this person's slum is demolished. So where is he going to go? So we can't have just a surface view of things. I think we must have a relationship where we realize how interdependent we are. And particularly since the pandemic, because, people who have had to make do without their domestic staff are having a difficult time, are having such a difficult time. And so you realize now that you need these people. And when these people are not around, your life comes to a stop. So we have to have, I think, a far more equitable and a far more just relationship with the people in this.
Yeah. What you're saying rings so true about recent events and recent series of events. We are outside the country, and what has happened with the migrant crisis is really looked at as one of the most serious human rights issues ever in world history.
Just the sight of these migrant workers walking thousands of kilometers to go home because the city has just shut its doors on their faces. They don't know where the next meal is going to come from. And so pregnant women, husbands with their wives and the little children who just with one gatri on their head walking. Oh, it's very, 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 very painful. Very painful. I mean, people have talked about it exactly like it was during the partition of India.
Yeah, the images were like that. Yeah. Very much. We will have to open up for Q&A, but before that, I just wanted you to tell us briefly about the film that you mentioned, Vikas Khanna's film. We have a few images to show, and also the short film Sher Korma, which it has been making little waves on its own. What I found very interesting was that a number of artists responded with artwork to the film. I loved that idea. And also the director wrote somewhere that after seeing the film, there was a young boy who came out to his family. So, there's this whole idea where you used to say earlier that with film, it's about ideas that get generated. You plant certain ideas. Can we really have social change? Fire made this enormous sort of impact when it happened and many years after. But today, when Sher Korma is happening, kids are encouraged to really just take this up immediately and talk about it at home. It's a release factor. So tell us about Sher Korma.
Sher Korma is a short film that Divya Datta, whom I have a very nice, warm relationship, said that I should look at the script. And when I read it, I said, yes, it's nice. And I said yes to it. For me, it's a moving tale. It's a moving tale. I don't want to give away the story, but I think it was, it's something that we need to see, because although I think that there is a lot more acceptability today of homosexual relationships, lesbian relationships, there's still a lot of confusion and a lot of doubt around it. And I think the way of dealing with it in this very artistic and beautiful way, hopefully will bring about more acceptance and greater change, I hope.
Yeah. And the Vikas Khanna film, because we've seen such evocative images of the Golden Temple and also the Statue of Liberty, and he seems to be flanking, these really important architectural sites with you. So I'm really curious about that film.
You know, Vikas Khanna, as you know, is this great celebrity chef. And in his own story, it was his grandmother who encouraged him to become a chef. And he has taken some autobiographical details of his life. And it's about this woman who is running a restaurant in New York, in Manhattan, an Indian restaurant, which is a small little place. And it has to shut down. And then what happens to her and her journey after that. So it's so close to Vikas's heart, so close to his heart that he was like, you know, I've worked with new directors and I've seen that new directors are very enthusiastic and they feel as if the world will come apart if that one shot isn't the way exactly that they wanted it. So he has so much passion for this subject that it was quite delightful to work with him. So we've made the film, it's done, it's just a little bit left that we need to just pack together.
Look forward to that, really.
Sweet,
and
warm.
for those who don't know, here Vikas has done a wonderful job distributing food in India. That's also been an amazing story.
20 million meals, and he was like a man possessed. When he started, he was weeping on the phone and he was telling me, I feed people, I just can't bear that there are people who are going hungry. And he was like a man possessed. My God, what he has done. And single-handedly from New York, mind you, in these days of lockdown when it's so difficult. And really like a man possessed, because he would just send these messages by Twitter. I'm going to this city. Anybody who wants help, please contact me. Like that. You know, it's a one-man army.
Yeah.
Because Vikas's mother, Bindu Khanna, is also a very special lady. Very, very special lady. And I think she encouraged him also to do what he was doing. And it's been remarkable.
Seem to have some connectivity issues. Shall we go into the questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a few questions here. The first one is from Kanak Rekha. Kanak, are you going to say your answer, your question?
Hello.
I'll read it for you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Kanak.
Hi.
All right. Shabana ji, Adab from Lucknow. And it's so good to see you. I want to ask you about your film Sonata. The character Dolan that you played, I feel, it's just my observation, that it's quite close to the way you are, so full of life and somebody who knew her mind. Please tell us something about your experience in the film.
I think Dolan provided me the opportunity to be totally free. To be totally free. You know, she is not bounded by anything at all. I enjoyed playing her very much. In fact, I kept telling Aparna, saying, I'm surprised you've given me this role. Because if I was the director, I would have taken that role myself. So I found bits in Dolan, like you say, which are close to the kind of person I am. In fact, I find that about Aparna Sen, because before this, I did a film with her called 15 Park Avenue. And in 15 Park Avenue, the person that I played really was the closest that I am in real life. And that's because Aparna Sen and I are very similar women. So that I felt, that girl in 15 Park Avenue is more me. For me, in Sonata, the real challenge was singing the Bengali song. For me, it was so terrifying because I don't speak Bengali and I'm not a trained singer. And there was Aparna Sen insisting that I want you to sing this song. And I kept trying to tell her, get this one to sing it, get that one to sing it. But she said, no, I want you to sing it. And then I had this husband of mine sitting on my head and saying, of course, you have to do it yourself. And you better do it till you get it right. So after that, when the song was released, and I got a lot of Bengalis commenting that I'm lying and this is not really me, I was really flattered because I said, all right. So then maybe I managed to pull it off.
Thank you so much.
We have a question from Payal. Do you want to say your question, Payal? Okay, so Payal's question.
Hi.
Yeah, okay, she's coming.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, hi, Ma. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I want to ask, you wear so many hats. How you do it with all your spirit and love?
How do I do what?
With all your spirit and love. You wear so many hats and you perform all your, all your characters in your life, whether it's on movie or in real life, with all love and spirit. How you manage to do that?
I think I'm very interested in people. I love people. And my resource base, my acting, really comes from my connection with life. I like meeting people. I enjoy being with people. And I don't have any hoity-toity ideas of that I should only meet intellectual people and stuff like that. I'm interested in the mundane. I'm interested in the ordinary. I'm interested in the extraordinary. So because I am connected with life, I think that's the reason I am able to wear so many hats.
Thank you. Love you.
Now, somebody who has only written the first initial of her name, S, has a question about MS Satyu. He's recently completed 90 years with a body of work unparalleled in theatre and cinema, yet there was bare minimum celebration or noise from the industry. You worked with him and your parents have known him closely. Tell us about working with him and your learnings from him.
Firstly, I don't think that there was very little mention of Satyu. The theatre world went mad, and Satyu was so fed up of being on the phone and constantly receiving all these wonderful, wonderful birthday wishes. So it's not true that he was ignored. In fact, a big, big thing was made about it. Satyu is the first director that I worked with in professional theatre with the Indian People Theatres Association. And that was in 1980. I did a play called Supet Kundali, which was an Urdu adaptation of
The White Chalk Circle.
The Caucasian circle, yes, by Kucha Zedi. And I remember telling Satyu that I want to work with you. So he said, listen, I'm very strict about rehearsals. And you have to come for the rehearsals in time. I don't want you to say, maybe shooting extend ho gayi, abhi main nahi aa sakti, waisa nahi aa sakti. So I'm going to test you. So for 10 days, he tested me and I would report exactly at 6:30 for my rehearsal. And only after that, he said, all right, you can do the role. And this, mind you, when I was bringing all of my stardom to it, and if I was going to benefit a lot by it. Then after I did a film called Kaneshwar Rama with him. Satyu, also we are building a Cafe Azmi theatre in Lucknow, and Satyu has been very involved with it. And what used to surprise me is in the scorching heat of Lucknow during May, he would still go and supervise that work. And I would keep telling him, Satya, please don't do it. But he's totally and completely committed, A. And my mother often says that Satyu is the closest that she's ever seen who really practices what he teaches, because the way he has sort of interacted with his staff in his house, they're really closely like family. So Satya is a very special man, and I'm very, very glad that I got an opportunity to work with him. And of course, Garm Hava is absolutely the best film that made on partition in India. In fact, it is my favorite Indian film.
Very powerful film. Manisha, are there any other questions? I can't see any more here. There's someone, Anita, who's asking Shabana to sing Aaj Jaane Ki Zid Na Karo. I'm not sure if you're going to do that.
No, I'm not going to do that. No.
But I would like to say, we started with this little bubble in Khandala where you are at the moment. And it's I'm writing about utopia now. And in history, this has happened so often that people have created their own little utopia, their dream world. And that itself becomes, again, a hub for artists and creativity. Tagore has done that in Shantiniketan. Here, Elmhurst has done it in Dartington, inspired by Shantiniketan. So I'm writing about that relationship now. And you got this beautiful bubble where I'm sure a lot of creative things are happening. I also want to talk about the other, this is not a bubble really, but a social evolution and a change which has been happening in Mijwa, because you have gone back to your father's village and you've done so much for the girls' education and development there. And today there is active work happening, helping with COVID, with the pandemic situation, as well as with the migrants. So I'd just like you to tell our audience a little bit about Mijwa. And something that inspires me all the time, that you say your father would say, change that may not come in your lifetime.
So Mijwa Welfare Society is an NGO that was founded by my father, Azmi, to empower rural India with a focus on the girl child and women, done through education, skill development, and employment generation. Now, during the pandemic, in 100 days of work that we've done, we've taken 100 steps. And I'm very proud of the work that the team has done, because apart from providing immediate relief, which was distributing food grains, distributing masks, giving soaps, giving health kits, etc., to a long-term program called the Rozgar Dhaba, which is an information hub, which we have started, whereby these migrant workers who are returning to the villages and don't know how to even move are in one place getting all the information. We're helping them with letting them know which jobs are available where, what is the expected salary, how to fill their Aadhaar card, how to fill their election card, how to access the many schemes that the government has, but with these people, it never reaches these people because there's no accessibility. So this to me, in terms of a long-term thing, is a very big, because now we are moving out of UP and we're doing it also in Bihar, and we're doing it in various ways. And the lessons that we learned during the work that we did, of course, Sangeeta, people like you, all of you all have helped and been very generous with it. But it's because we, Mijwa Welfare Society, has worked in 22 villages. We've worked in UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, Delhi, and Rajasthan. We have worked with the panchayats and the local bodies and the National Disaster Rescue Force. So this has been very seamless hand holding. It's real work. I mean, like, we have given food grains to 1,25,000 people. Then we have distributed masks to about 45,000 people. Then people we have reached with medicine, etc., is about 1,35,000. So these are not small numbers. It's a very small NGO, but the people from the team have actually gone to villages to do the distribution at great risk to themselves. So at the end of it all, I feel very proud of my team, certainly, especially my CEO, Vinod Pandey. But I think what for me is really the thing that touches me most, that somehow Kathy Saab's spirit and his shape has sort of entered the lives of my Mijwa team, which is Pyar ka jashan nayi tarha manana hoga. प्यार का जश्न नई तरह मनाना होगा, गम किसी दिल में सही, गम को मिटाना होगा.
Thank you. That's very beautiful. I'm being told there's a last question from Poonam. Can we have that question?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. शबाना जी नमस्ते.
नमस्ते.
मैं बहुत बड़ी फैन हूँ आपकी, और मैं सिर्फ एक छोटा सा सवाल जानना चाहूंगी कि आपने जिंदगी में बहुत सारे रोल किए हैं. आपने जैसा बताया एक्टिंग आपकी है ही है, गाना भी गाया, राजनीति में भी आपने काम किया और समाज सेवा भी करती है, अलग अलग फील्ड में काम किया. आपके दिल के करीब कौन सा है ऐसा जो आपको बहुत ज्यादा पसंद है और बहुत ही ज्यादा अच्छा लगता है? मतलब दिल के करीब इनमें से कौन सा रोल आपको लगता है? अपनी जिंदगी का कौन सा रोल दिल के करीब है?
एक्टिंग. एक्टिंग सबसे ज्यादा खुशी मुझे एक्टिंग से मिलती है, चाहे थिएटर में हो, चाहे वो सिनेमा हो. उसके साथ जुड़ी हुई जो चीजें हैं ना, उससे भी मुझे अच्छा लगता है, क्योंकि मेरी जिंदगी में ये सब चीजें अलहदा नहीं, ये एक दूसरे से जुड़ी हुई है. एक्टिंग मुझे पसंद है, लेकिन एक्टिंग के जरिए जो मेरा वर्ल्ड व्यू है, जो मेरा सोचने का नजरिया है, अगर उसके ऊपर भी थोड़ी रोशनी जा सके तो मुझे उससे बहुत ज्यादा सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलता है. जो काम मैं फिल्म के थ्रू करती हूँ, वही मैं भी, जो औरतों की एम्पावरमेंट की बात है या सोशल जस्टिस की बात है, तो ये जो डिविजन्स है मेरी लाइफ में, ये सब ही है, लेकिन एक ही विचारधारा के अलग अलग रूप.
जी शुक्रिया.
Manisha, if there are any other questions?
Yeah, we can take 2 more. So I'll just put Vidula ji on here.
Yeah.
Priyanka ji, can you hear us? Can you please ask your question? Priyanka ji?
Yeah, I did unmute myself. Can I ask a question now?
Yes.
Good evening, Shabana ji. It's been a very enlightening session. I just wanted to ask, like you were in Budapest and you were shooting for Halo. I want to know about your experience. I mean, that is, I think, the most experimental movie that you're doing with AI, and it's like a total millennial movie, and no social cause. But I mean, how did you choose it, and what's your experience with that?
Well, I mean, the fact that it is such a popular game show, in fact, what it has done has catapulted my status in front of my nephew, Viraj, who always was not particularly impressed with any work that I've done. But now that I'm working in show, he is suddenly looking at me, my God, this aunt of mine is somebody that I should look up to. So at one level, it has happened with all these kids getting really excited about it. When I said yes, I had no idea what games are, what Halo is. I had no idea whatsoever. And I was quite curious and excited and nervous, which is all very good. For any project that if it can create that feeling in you, it's an exciting thing. And I've enjoyed the work very much, not the least of which is because the actors are all very, very good. They're all very good, but you know, there is, like, I keep talking about a scene that I was doing in which I had a very small, I had 1 or 2 dialogue, but I was there in the scene. Now, so they had to take the scene from various angles. Now, Natasha, who's the heroine of the film, and Pablo, who is the hero, it was their scene, okay? And it was a very, very, very long scene. and they had to do 18 takes only because there were some close-ups of mine. Can you imagine all the 18 takes they did with equal fervor, with equal passion, knowing that the camera is not on them? You know, that's such a rewarding experience, because over here, it's the assistant director gives you your cues. Iska bahut rarely chance hota hai that you actually have the artist giving you the cues. So that kind of bond I value very much, particularly when it happens with actors, and the whole experience has been lovely. But I have still to complete my work.
Yeah, looking forward to.
Thank you.
So we have one last question from Vedula ji, and after that we're done.
Shabana ji, namaskar. Hello.
Namaskar.
शबाना जी, आपके फिल्मों की और जितने किरदार आपने किए हैं उन सब की मैं बहुत 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 बड़ी फैन हूँ। विगत लगभग 40 वर्षों से आप फिल्मों में काम कर रही हैं। उस समय जब आपने शुरू किया होगा, तब फिल्मों में काम करना एक लड़की के लिए कितना आसान या कठिन था, और आज कितना आसान या कठिन है? क्या फर्क आप देखती हैं?
ठीक है, मैं तो फिल्म इंस्टीट्यूट की स्टूडेंट हूँ और मैं गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट फिल्म इंस्टीट्यूट की, और मुझे तो काम जब मैं सेकंड ईयर पे पढ़ रही थी तभी ख्वाजा अहमद अब्बास ने मुझे अपनी फिल्म फासला ऑफर की थी। उसके बाद मैंने एक और फिल्म साइन की थी, कांतीलाल राठौर की परिणय, जिसकी शूटिंग मेरी ट्रेनिंग खत्म हुई 30 अप्रैल को और शायद 1 मई को मैं परिणय के लिए शूटिंग कर रही थी, और उसके कुछ ही महीने बाद श्याम बेनेगल की फिल्म अंकुर मुझे मिली। तो मेरे लिए इस तरह से स्ट्रगल करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। आज के दौर में मैं सिर्फ यही कहना चाहती हूँ हर उस लड़की को और लड़की को जो एक्टिंग करना चाहती हूँ कि मत कर। अगर सिर्फ आपको ऐसा लगे कि आपका दम घुट जाएगा तो ही आप अगर एक्टिंग करेंगे, अगर एक्टिंग नहीं करेंगे तो आपका दम घुट जाएगा तो ही उसको करो, क्योंकि ये बहुत टफ प्रोफेशन है। और देखिए, इसमें आपको डेली रिजेक्शन फेस करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि आपके एक के बाद एक ऑडिशंस होते रहते हैं, और एक के बाद एक आपको रिजेक्ट किया जाता है। तो अगर आप कोई और प्रोफेशन कर रहे हो, उसमें शायद 1-2 चीजों में आप कामयाब नहीं होंगे, लेकिन आपको जॉब तो मिल जाएगा। तो ये जो डेली हार्ट ब्रेक है ना, इसके लिए बहुत फौलादी सीना चाहिए या बहुत पैशन चाहिए कि ये मुझे करना है। और जो भी एक्टिंग करना चाहते हैं, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ट्रेनिंग बहुत उसकी बहुत जरूरत है। हम समझते हैं कि हमारी शक्ल अच्छी है, हमको थोड़ा सा नाचना आ जाता है, हमारे 6 पैक एब्स हैं, हम थोड़ी सी राइडिंग कर लेते हैं, हमारी शक्ल अच्छी है इसलिए हम आना चाहते हैं। ये सही तो ये है कि इसके लिए डिसिप्लिन की जरूरत है, इसके लिए ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है, और सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी जो बात है वो ये कि आप जिंदगी से जुड़े रहे। आप जब अगर रिक्शा में ट्रैवल ही नहीं करेंगे तो आपको पता ही कैसे चलेगा कि रिक्शा वाला कैसे बोलता है, कैसे सोचता है। अगर आप सब्जी खरीदने कभी मार्केट में ही नहीं जाएंगे तो आपको कैसे मालूम है कि वो इंसान क्या करेगा। तो जिंदगी से अगर आप जुड़े रहे तो आपको एज एनी आर्टिस्ट, whether you're a writer or a painter, a musician or an actor, आप enrich होते हैं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद शबाना जी।
Welcome.
Thank you for the questions. I think it's time to wrap up, and to thank you, Shabana, for a very, very inspiring session. We've taken a little longer than the 1 hour we'd asked for, but I think it's been very inspiring for a lot of the members here who may have heard you at length for the first time, and some who are returning members. It's been an absolute pleasure. Also, congratulations for the Icon Award that you've won at the London Indian Film Festival this year. You've not been able to be here, but you know, fingers crossed, we'll see you soon, either in India or here in London. Take care. Enjoy your time in Sukoon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And thank you to the entire team, Manisha and the entire backup technical team who've been working hard. Thanks Anindita, thanks Sandeep Utoria, and thanks to all my better team members for this wonderful session. Bye. Bye.